This is Property Focus, your window into the world of architecture, building construction, and real estate. Today, we have an amazing, excellent show lined up for you. We're kicking it off with a look into the design and architecture of the theatre and cultural space at the first and oldest cultural centre in Kenya. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Kenya National Theatre. Right after, we'll be talking to former beauty queen, Miss Melanie Wituka, who's now a main contractor in the construction industry, and she's going to be telling us a bit more about that in a bit. At the tail end of the show, we've got Apex Steel, who they're going to be telling us about how steel stands the test of height and weight in a construction project in just a bit. Now, welcome to yet another amazing show. This is Property Focus, and I'm your host, Peter Ngigi. If your heart beats for theatrics and cultural arts, then this segment is just for you. We're examining the essential provision for theatrical spaces and the transformative journey that the 62-year-old Kenya National Theatre facility recently underwent to become the best equipped theatre for modern theatrical productions in the whole of East and Central Africa. Our first guest, architect Luke Carter, an impressionable young designer with a great taste for theatrical design, was the refurbishment project architect for the National Theatre. And he tells us more about this wonderful, magnificent project. And what do the authorities in this sector have to say about the creation of this particularly inspiring space? Let's hear more from the chairman of the board of Kenya Cultural Centre, Mr. Nicholas Moipe, in just a bit. Welcome to Property Focus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, tell us about theatrical architecture.
Theatrical spaces are fundamentally spaces that are created or designed for the performing arts, specifically drama. And these can go all the way back to the sort of amphitheatres of ancient Greece to a mugumu tree in the village in Laikipia, to what we hear today, which is the Kenya National Theatre.
So what has been your experience with the design of cultural spaces here in Kenya?
So in Kenya, I've worked on a few restoration projects. There's a few sort of older colonial buildings here in Kenya, and the way we treat these sort of like refurbished spaces is obviously we have to preserve the history of the space, but modernize it for modern means and technology coming into the space.
What makes this particular theatre so special?
This theatre is very special in terms of, especially in the history of Kenya and in Greater East Africa. Firstly, it's one of the largest theatres in East and Central Africa.
Okay.
It's one of the oldest buildings that were still standing here today in Nairobi. It was commissioned, I think, in 1945 by the Colonial Office from the British government when they were in charge over here. And subsequently, after it's been 50 years of the independence of Kenya, it was time to celebrate the history of Kenya. And this was one of the key sort of sites that were picked by the sponsors, which was EABL with the Kenyan government.
Now, break down the design features that were employed for this particular project.
So, obviously, the theatre seating was obviously paramount important. Getting the rake of the seats correct so that everybody can have a view to the stage. Looking at the acoustics, as I've mentioned before. Then changing the entrance. So the entrance used to be in the middle of the theatre space, but we changed to two separate entrances to help crowd control and health and safety issues in the event of a fire. We also upgraded all the bathrooms, obviously. Upstairs we created a bar restaurant area, which we are.
I think that's your favorite part of.
Everybody enjoys. Everybody has a good drink during the performance or after the performance, I should say. So a lot of people, especially because the project was being sponsored by EABL, they were particularly interested in how the bar would turn out, and I think they were happy. So it's good. Also, as we talk about the front of house, there was a lot of changes we did to the back of house spaces. This was the green room where the actors and actresses get prepared before they come on stage. There were the changing rooms. There were some rehearsal spaces in the basement that we upgraded. Even the dance studio, which was sort of on the side of the building, was upgraded. We put in some more public amenities around the back and upgraded the whole car park.
Yeah. Architect Luke, what is the future for modern theatrical architecture in the country?
Well, here in Kenya and also in general, technology is playing a big part in entertainment. And it has done throughout the history of theatre and cinema and other performance spaces. I think we need to embrace that and work with it. You know, still celebrating the raw talents that we have in Kenya and the diversity we have in Kenya, but also embracing things like augmented reality. We need more pop-up performance spaces which have more flexibility. We need to look at different audio experiences. Now we're getting into 4D stuff, which is like more sensory. So you'll have the seats moving or smells and things like this happening. And, so it's a more interactive experience.
Well, thank you very much, Architect Luke. That was delightful. Really learned a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you very much for inviting me to the show.
Pleasure
and
to have you.
Thanks a lot for featuring Kenya Cultural Center in your program.
Most welcome.
Focus.
Most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
There have been many challenges right from the word go. Needless to mention the fact that it's very poorly funded. It's, the current government has actually come in to support the art very much, and that can be seen even through the refurbishment of the Kenya National Theatre and even a few other theatres countrywide, like the Mombasa, the small theatre in Mombasa, the theatre in Nakuru and in Kisumu, and we hope more will come up in the future. There is very little as far as funding from government and even from the corporate world. But before now we started, the place was so run down. It was almost a township where you could find kiosks and things that were not really very directly relating into artistic expressions. We eventually spent close to 170 million shillings. So 100 million shillings from Kenya breweries, and the others were sponsorships from various small groups to come up with the beautiful stuff that we have here, which is one of the best theatre spaces that we have at the moment in the country. Not only in its iconic look, by the way, we decided not to interfere with the facade. The facade, we retained it to maintain the iconic buildings faces that we have in Nairobi, and also to maintain retain our heritage. But inside we made sure that all the modern fittings and up to international standards fittings are realized.
Thank you for staying with us. As I had earlier mentioned, we have one of the few women towering the male-dominated construction industry in our next interview, and she'll be talking about work of a main contractor in a building project. I know you're eager to see what she's got to say, but first we'll take a small break and then we'll be back. Do not go away. Welcome back. You're watching Property Focus, and with us in this segment is the award winner of the Woman Contractor of the Year 2014. Let's hear her experience in the practice of building construction in just a bit. Let's go. Welcome to Property Focus.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Delighted to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
It's very rarely do we have women. By the way, this is the first time that we have a female main contractor. First of a kind. So, how did you end up in the construction industry?
I came back from school having had learned Chinese as a language. Coming back, I couldn't get a job in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but there was Thika Highway. So I opted to take a job as a translator on Thika Highway. But in the process, I learned a lot, and that drove me into construction.
So tell us, who's a main contractor in a building project?
A main contractor is a person or a company entrusted with the day-to-day activities of a project.
Is it just a profession, or anybody with money can just become a main contractor?
According to me, it's actually a profession that has been abused. It's a profession in the sense that with money, yet you do not have the management skills, people knowledge, organizational skills, you will not manage. Because basically a contractor is a project manager. So without project planning and management, you will not succeed as a contractor.
How then does one become a main contractor?
In Kenya, for you to become a main contractor, the initial thing is you need to have a company. After you've registered the company, you get your licenses from NCA, National Construction Authority. This body is entrusted to make sure that companies that are registered have the required personnel, they have the equipment, they have the capacity. So they register you according to your capabilities. There's NCA 8 to NCA 1. Yes. And you grow in the stages. NCA 8 is the smallest, is the lowest, the entry level, and NCA 1 is the highest level. That's where we have the Chinese, the people who do big contracts in the country. They do not have a capping on the amount of money they can do, the kind of contracts they can do. But in NCA 8, you can do up to 10 million.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
growing up the ladders. So after you get experience and you have many projects on board, then you can upgrade to NCA 7, 6, 5, going ahead. So specific projects require specific contractors. If it's a small project, it will be done by an NCA 8.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any industry requirements or qualifications or training that one needs to become a main contractor?
As a contractor, your personnel need to have been trained in the specific areas. If you have an engineer, he needs to have a certification from Engineers Board of Kenya, an architect, a surveyor. All that is ensured by NCA before they give you the certification. But going ahead, NCA trains contractors yearly on different aspects. There's management, there's financial. They train us in different aspects, and you require that training before your license can be renewed.
Yes. So you've got projects of different magnitude. Does every project require building main contractor?
Yes. In Kenya, every project requires a main contractor. Because for you to get the license, NCA requires a contractor to be on board, and you need an agreement with your contractor so that someone is held responsible somewhere.
Yes.
A main contractor will oversee everything
Okay.
that is being done. Even if it's a small project, you need a contractor.
Tell us the difference then between a project manager and a main contractor, if at all there's a difference between the two.
In Kenya, we are not very specific with project managers, so contractors do both.
Okay.
They're the project managers on most of the projects.
What is your biggest challenge as a main contractor in this industry today?
To start off, as a woman in construction, I think the government has not been committed, diligent, and has not appreciated women in the building industry.
Yes. How so?
The government talks about the 30% of all the procured jobs in Kenya to be allocated to women, youth, and the people with disability. But I think it's child's play because they say 30%, and when you look at, for example, if you want to get the statistics right, the accrediting body NCA does not have any woman-owned company in NCA 1. That means women are not climbing the ladder. They have registered, they are working every day, but they are going in circles at the same spot. That goes back to the implementing bodies. The 30% has been said yes, but they're not giving them the right, the 30% actually in terms of the monetary value of 30%.
Yes.
So that drags women behind.
Tell us the second challenge.
The other challenge in construction has been said over and over again. Quality of materials.
Yes.
That comes back to the government.
Yes.
The quality of materials at times are compromised.
Yes.
You buy, hoping that this bar that I have bought, this steel bar that I have bought, is what has been written. You're buying a Y8, yet it's a Y6. So you go doing your construction works normally, then the building ends up having a crack. You buy electrical products. Nowadays we say they come from China. After a very short while, they fail. Then the government says our local contractors are not competent. Yet it's still the same government that has allowed the not proper quality products to come in and sell on the market to the contractors. If I was in government today, what I would do, I would give a Kenyan contractor those jobs. Then let the Chinese be subcontractors so that the Kenyan contractors can be able to learn from what the Chinese are doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
From the runway to construction, Melanie has just taken us through being a main contractor in a construction building project. Up next, we have the billboard. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vanda Holmes brings to you Hillsview Estate with 3-bedroom bungalows, master and suite in a gated community along Thika Road next to Mangu High School. These homes are on offer for just 3.5 million. For more information, call 0711 950 950.
Hi Charles.
Yes,
How are
sir.
you doing?
I'm
Welcome
doing
to
well.
Property Focus.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about steel as a building material.
What most people mainly know Apex for is our deformed bars. We were the first company in East Africa to manufacture deformed bars to grade 500 plus, grade A, B, C, and D. Now the local KEB standard is grade 460. So what my director saw or foresaw was that we would need international benchmarks because we would have an influx of international companies, developers, and constructors who would now require that quality of steel locally. So in addition to the deformed bars and the quality that we put into that, we also manufacture quality angles, flats, tubes, and plates. Additionally, we also stock channels, beams, checkered plates, CRCA, aluminum plates, shafts, seamless pipes, and stainless steel products.
How has steel changed the market in the building industry?
So particularly our products, they are efficiently and responsibly manufactured. We were one of the first companies to get LEED certified, which means that our processes are green friendly, they're sustainable, and they do not harm the environment. So what this does, it reduces waste, it conserves energy, it decreases water consumption, and it drives innovation, all things that we pride ourselves in. So our steel actually reduces the use of wood. For instance, let's say you're building a house and you need wood trusses for your roofing. Instead of using wood and harming the environment, you use steel trusses, which are more efficient and actually are better placed to serve that house for longer with less maintenance, and finally, it does not hurt the environment.
What new trends have you guys adopted in the markets today?
So back in 2015, we became the first company in the region to get LEED certified. So LEED certified stands for Leadership, Energy, and Environmental Design. And it's a certificate that looks at the environmental impact that your processes have. And what that means is that our processes actually do not hurt the built environment, allowing for sustainable construction, which today, by constructing sustainably, we ensure that tomorrow our children will live in a built environment that is healthy and that is okay for them to live in instead of polluted.
So what projects have you guys done?
That's a great question. So if you go on Thika Super Highway and you're just driving and you're observing how beautiful the highway is, Apex is inside there. If you get on the SGR, you're riding to Mombasa, enjoying the view, Apex is inside there. Let's say you go to Villa Rosa, you take your wife out there for a great day, just know Apex is with you. A lot of the roads that are here in Kenya are built by Apex. A lot of these big buildings, including Britain Tower, UAP, Sankara Hotel, these are all Apex projects. We are very proud that over the last 50 years, we have been able to be part of the building of this country.
Give us a parting shot.
So, Apex Steel, we've looked to become your one-stop shop for construction. What we see is that there's a lot of need for many other products other than just steel in the construction process. So one thing that we have done is evolve as a company over time. And we have actually gave birth to a sister company through Apex Steel called Apex Piping Systems Limited. There we produce high quality PVC, PPR, and HDPE pipes for clean water and also wastewater construction. So in addition to these products for the piping sector and the plumbing sector, we've also partnered with various companies both globally and locally to ensure that we have everything you need. Over 4,000 hardware products you can find at Apex. Everything from shovels to pangas, from nails to the mabati, to the concrete, everything, to the hard hat, even the safety shoe. We have it all in-house.
Only on Property Focus can you get such kind of treats. First time you ever had it.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Charles.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I've seen some things there I might be interested in.
Come join me, I'll show you.
Wonderful. It's a wrap for today's show, but I'm sure you enjoyed our lineup in this show. Property Focus will continue to bring you exclusive reviews every week on various aspects in the property industry and the built environment in Kenya. Stalk us on social media and let's keep those conversations going. I'm Peter Ngigi, and thank you for tuning in. Till next time, ciao.